the Hollywood Unapologetic Podcast with Orlando Delbert, Filmmaking Essentials.
You've tuned into one part of our ongoing exploration into the democratization of filmmaking.
That's right.
And if you wanted extra resources, books, maybe even some cool merchandise related to the series, you'll find all the links down in the description. So today, we're really plunging headfirst into the captivating realm of mixed reality.
It's a big one.
It is. We've gathered a ton of information, and our goal really is to chart its origins, trace its journey to where we are now.
Understand its place.
Exactly. Understand where it fits within this whole exciting world of immersive technology, or XR.
Right.
And ultimately examine its global impact, especially, and this is key for our series, as it pertains to a new wave of storytellers, the new Hollywood generation.
A lot to cover.
Definitely. So are you ready to unpack this with me?
Absolutely. Let's get into it. Because, terms virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, they get thrown around a lot.
You really do. Often interchangeably.
Right. But they actually represent distinct points on a spectrum. It's quite fascinating, really. So maybe we should clarify those boundaries for you listening.
Good idea. Where do we start?
Well, the overarching term you'll often hear is XR, or extended reality.
Okay, XR.
Think of XR as basically any technology that alters your reality by adding digital elements to the physical world in some way. It's the big umbrella.
Got it. So XR covers everything. Let's zoom in then. What about augmented reality, AR? How's that different?
Okay, so AR, that's characterized by the superimposition of digital elements onto your view of the real world. Think Pokemon Go, maybe?
Right, like seeing Pikachu on your lawn through your phone.
Exactly. But the key differentiator here is that while you see digital information overlaid, the direct interaction between those digital things and the physical environment is, well, usually pretty limited.
Limited interaction. Okay.
A really good practical example is AccuVein. You might have seen this in healthcare.
I think I have, yeah.
It projects a digital map of a patient's veins right onto their skin. Super helpful for medical pros trying to find a vein.
Ah, right. So the digital veins are there on the real arm?
Overlaid on reality, yes.
Yeah.
But they don't, physically react to the arm or change if you poke the arm,
Yeah.
It's an overlay.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a helpful digital layer, but not really interacting. So what's the jump? What makes it mixed reality, our main topic today?
Mixed reality. MR goes beyond just that overlay. It introduces true interaction.
Interaction. That's the key word.
Totally. In MR, digital objects can actually interact with the real world. And crucially, the real environment can provide input that dynamically influences the virtual experience.
Okay, give me an example.
Imagine placing a virtual chess piece on your real coffee table using an MR headset.
Uh-huh.
And it stays there. You can walk around the table, look at it from different angles, and it behaves as if it's physically present on that table. Or picture virtual ball bouncing realistically off your actual living room wall.
Wow, okay. So the digital and physical are really playing together.
Exactly. That ability for digital and physical elements to interact and influence each other is what sets MR apart.
Yeah.
It's different from AR, where there's minimal interaction, and totally different from VR.
Right. Virtual reality, where you put on the headset and bam, you're somewhere else entirely. Like those videos of people freaking out on virtual roller coasters.
Precisely. VR creates fully immersive digital environments. It effectively blocks out your senses from the physical world around you.
Total immersion.
And the research shows this complete immersion can trigger really powerful emotional responses. People genuinely feel fear, excitement, even when they consciously know it's not real.
Like that walk the plank challenge you mentioned. People look terrified.
It's a perfect example. It shows how convincing and emotionally impactful that total sensory immersion can be.
Okay, so quick recap. XR is the big umbrella. AR is the digital overlay, kind of static. MR is the interactive blend. And VR is the full digital dive.
You got it.
Is there like a visual way to think about how these relate?
A framework? Yeah, there is. People often talk about the virtuality continuum.
Like reality continuum. Okay.
Picture a line, a spectrum. On one end, you've got the completely real world, nothing digital.
Right. Physical reality.
On the absolute opposite end, you have a completely virtual world. Pure digital, that's VR.
Okay.
Augmented reality sits closer to the real world end of this spectrum. Minimal digital immersion, just layers.
Makes sense.
And mixed reality, it occupies that significant space in between. It's where the real and virtual are dynamically blended and crucially interact.
So it's the middle ground, but a very active middle ground.
Exactly. It's a useful model, helps you understand the differences based on how immersed you are and how much they rely on physical versus digital stuff.
That really helps visualize it.
Yeah.
A sliding scale of reality integration. Okay, so let's step back in time. Origins. When did this idea of mixed reality actually start taking shape?
This is where the story gets really interesting. The very first, fully immersive mixed reality system had actually popped up in 1992.
92? Wow. That's earlier than I would have guessed. What was it called?
It was called Virtual Fixtures, developed by a researcher named Louis Rosenberg at the U.S. Air Force's Armstrong Laboratories.
The Air Force? Seriously? That feels unexpected for tech that seems so cutting edge now.
Right, but the goal was very practical. It was about enabling humans to remotely control robots doing tasks in real environments.
Okay, remote robotics.
But here's the MR twist. They enhanced the operator's view with 3D virtual overlays. These virtual fixtures were designed to improve precision.
How so? Like virtual guides?
Exactly. Imagine a virtual box overlaid onto a physical object the robot needed to grab. It gives the operator visual cues, constraints, helps him control the robot arm much more accurately.
Huh. And did it work?
Apparently, yes. Early studies showed significant improvements in how well people perform tasks just by adding these virtual elements into their real-world view.
That's incredible. So the first push from MRR was really about enhancing how humans work with machines in the real world.
Pretty much. Improving that interaction.
Okay, let's fast forward back to today. Where does mixed reality stand now within this broader XR landscape we talked about?
Well, like we said with the continuum, it's right there in that crucial middle ground, that dynamic mix of real and virtual. Right. And it's not just a niche concept anymore. The money involved is huge.
You mean the market size?
Yeah. Research from Markets and Markets projected the whole global XR market, AR, VR, MR, to hit something like USD 125.2 billion by 2026.
Wow.
With a compound annual growth rate over 30% between 2021 and 2026. That shows massive investment and belief in this tech.
That's explosive growth. Are we seeing bits of this MR idea filter down into things we use every day beyond just those big industrial robots?
We are, increasingly. Think about how powerful our phones and tablets are now.
Right. The processing power is nuts.
And many of them come equipped with pretty sophisticated AR development toolkits. We've seen games like Pokemon Go become huge phenomena.
Overlaying creatures on the real world?
Exactly. And practical stuff too, like AR navigation and Google Maps showing you directions overlaid on the actual street.
Oh yeah, I've used that. It's quite handy.
Or Google Translate overlaying translated text onto signs in real time.
Okay, but are those truly mixed reality? You said interaction was key.
That's a fair point. A lot of those mobile applications lean more towards the AR end. They're primarily overlays with limited dynamic interaction with the environment itself, but they show the capability is becoming mainstream. Devices are getting better at blending digital info with our physical world.
Okay, so mobile is sort of an entry point. What about the dedicated hardware, the stuff specifically designed for MR?
Right, that's where head-mounted displays, HMDs, are really central.
The headsets.
Yeah. Now, consumer VR headsets, like for gaming, focus on that total immersion, blocking everything out.
Right.
But in the mixed and augmented reality space, we see a lot of development in enterprise-focused HMDs. Microsoft's HoloLens is a big one.
I've heard of HoloLens. Where is it used?
All sorts of places. Medicine, overlaying patient scans during surgery. Engineering, showing step-by-step assembly instructions right in your view while you work.
Hands-free instructions, basically.
Exactly. And Magic Leap is another major player developing similar advanced spatial computing tech. Their focus spans professional uses, but also hints at consumer stuff down the line.
Interesting. Any other display tech besides headsets?
Well, we should probably give a quick mention to KVA Systems' Cave Automatic Virtual Environments.
Okay, what are those?
Think room-size setups with multiple projectors covering the walls, sometimes the floor. They can create really immersive shared MR experiences, often used for collaborative design or data visualization. Less common, but powerful.
Got it. So MR isn't just a lab experiment. It's being actively developed, refined, and used across a whole range of industries now.
Definitely.
Which brings us to global impact. Where is MR making a real, tangible difference today? You mentioned a few areas.
The applications are incredibly broad, really.
Yeah.
We're seeing it heavily in design, creating, and tweaking virtual prototypes in real space. Education, making learning more interactive. Entertainment, obviously pushing boundaries there. But it also goes into military training, healthcare, how companies manage product information, and, like we touched on, controlling robots.
Let's pick a few of those. Education seems like a big one. How's MR changing learning?
It's having a profound effect. AR can be used to, say, simulate historical battles right in the classroom. Makes
Okay.
history much more immersive.
I can see that being engaging.
And in universities, especially for medicine or health sciences, MR is amazing for anatomy. Students can see and interact with complex 3D anatomical models in real space. They can walk around them, manipulate them.
Better than just looking at diagrams in a book.
Way better. There was a report, I think, from the World Economic Forum in 2022 about Case Western Reserve University. Found that 85% of their first-year med students thought MR anatomy teaching was as good as or better than traditional cadaver labs.
85%. That's huge. A real testament to its effectiveness.
It really is.
What about healthcare beyond education? You mentioned HoloLens earlier.
Right. In actual clinical settings, smart glasses have huge potential, displaying vital signs right in a surgeon's view, overlaying MRI scans onto the patient during an operation.
So the doctor doesn't have to keep looking away at screens.
Exactly. Visual guides for complex procedures, too. There's also this idea that AR headsets could seriously improve how doctors share information, maybe even boost training, and potentially increase safety. Imagine accessing info hands-free in situations with infectious diseases, maybe reducing PPE needs.
That's compelling, though I imagine there are ethical discussions, too, about focusing on the tech versus the patient directly.
Oh, absolutely. That's a critical conversation that needs to happen alongside the technological development. How do you integrate this without losing the human element?
Definitely something to watch. And military training. How's MR used there?
For simulating complex combat scenarios, soldiers wearing HMDs can train in realistic blended environments. There are commercial platforms like Improbable Synthetic Environments, Virtual Battlespace 3, VirTra. These are used by the U.S. Army, law enforcement.
Safer, more repeatable training.
Precisely. And the U.S. Army Research Lab uses MR to study things like how stress affects decision-making, but in a safe, controlled setting.
Fascinating. Okay, one more human-in-the-loop robot operation. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah, there's renewed interest there, especially in digital factories. An operator with an AR headset, maybe HoloLens again, can see real-time data, virtual controls, maybe even projected paths for robots, all overlaid onto the real factory floor.
Like an enhanced supervisor.
Kind of. And this often connects to digital twin technology, having a live virtual model of the physical setup, which allows that seamless data flow and control. It makes human-robot collaboration much more intuitive.
It's incredible how diverse these applications are, which naturally brings us right back to our core theme for this series, the democratization of filmmaking.
Here we go.
How is this rapidly evolving MR landscape impacting filmmaking? What doors is it opening for this new Hollywood generation of creators?
This is where it gets really exciting for storytellers, I think. The ability to truly merge digital and physical realities in real time. That just fundamentally changes the creative canvas.
How so?
Imagine set designs that aren't static but can dynamically change based on the story, or characters that aren't just CGI added later, but can interact with actors and the real environment in ways we haven't seen before.
Blurring the lines between physical and virtual characters and sets.
Exactly. And audience engagement that goes way beyond just watching passively.
Yeah.
These things used to be sci-fi or need crazy Hollywood budgets. MR is starting to make them more reachable.
So for this new Hollywood generation, the young filmmakers coming up, what new skills or perspectives do they need? It can't just be about knowing the tech, right?
You absolutely hit on a crucial point there. Tech skills matter, sure, but even more vital is developing a new kind of creative thinking.
Spatial thinking.
Yeah, spatial storytelling, understanding how to build narratives that actively use the interactive, immersive nature of MR, thinking about how the audience will physically and virtually inhabit the story world. It's not just about framing a shot anymore.
So it's a blend of old and new skills.
Definitely. It demands a hybrid approach combining traditional filmmaking language with principles of interactive design, user experience. It's a whole new mindset.
Okay, but what about accessibility? You mentioned budgets. How do we make sure the tools and the know-how for MR filmmaking get democratized so it's not just big studios or tech giants doing it?
That democratization piece is absolutely paramount. We are starting to see more affordable, more user-friendly MR development tools and platforms emerge.
Good.
And like we discussed, the growing power of mobile AR also gives creators a more accessible starting point. Plus, you have online communities, open source projects, educational programs focusing on MR film. These are all key to lowering that barrier to entry.
Fostering collaboration and sharing knowledge.
Exactly. That's how you empower a wider range of voices, diverse perspectives, to shape this evolving art form.
It sounds incredibly promising. But as this new Hollywood generation starts exploring MR filmmaking, what are the big questions, the challenges they need to figure out solutions for?
Well, they need to grapple with some fundamental things. With narrative design, how do you tell a compelling story when the audience has agency, when they can interact and maybe go off script?
Right, nonlinear possibilities.
How do you develop characters that feel real when experienced in this blended reality and audience engagement? How can MR create a deeper sense of presence, a stronger emotional connection without feeling gimmicky?
Beyond just the novelty.
Right. And then there are the practical hurdles. Production workflows need rethinking. Distribution models from MR experiences need to be built.
Yeah.
How do people actually access and share these new kinds of films? Lots to solve.
So MR clearly has this immense transformative potential across industries, yes, but specifically in reshaping filmmaking's future and really enabling this new Hollywood generation.
It feels like a pivotal moment.
It really does. So as we start to wrap up, I want to put a final, maybe profound question out there, directly to that new Hollywood generation listening.
Right.
Considering this deeply immersive, interactive nature of mixed reality, its power to blur the lines between what's real and what's virtual, what's the single most crucial lesson you believe these new dimensions demand of you as creators? And how will you make sure your work connects authentically and ethically with audiences in this constantly shifting landscape?
That's the big question, isn't it? And
Yeah.
the answers that this generation finds will really define the future of cinematic storytelling in this new medium. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you for joining me on this exploration into the really fascinating world of mixed reality.
My pleasure.
And for all of you out there, especially in the new Hollywood generation, and anyone curious about the democratization of filmmaking, remember to check out the links in the description. More info, books we recommend, even some series merchandise. Until our next exploration, keep questioning, keep creating, and keep pushing those boundaries of what's possible.
You can find more insights on navigating the entertainment industry and achieving success in Orlando Delbert's work, including his book, Pollyanna's Tear-Soaked Battlefields of Hollywood, a survival guide against the cynicism and the hypocritical, and of course, the Hollywood Unapologetic platform. And always remember, you are the key to your own success. You are the new Hollywood generation.
Be informed, be prepared, and most importantly, be great.
That's it. Be great. Good luck out there.
See you next time.